Hey, you know that big Saharan dust plume that we've been pinpointing? It's getting ready to work its way into the United States this weekend. What's going on, guys? I'm certified meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. In this video, we are going to talk about that dust when it arrives across the Gulf Coast, Florida, and the southeast corner of the United States. From the Caribbean perspective, in this Tropics update, we have a wave moving into the Caribbean. It's kind of in between two big areas, two big plumes of Saharan dust. There's going to be even thicker plume moving into the Caribbean in the U.S. once we get to the next 7 to 10 days. We're going to break that down as well. Had a big update on the new Colorado State University forecast numbers in a previous video. I will link to that in this video, but we also have an update on that as well. Stick around to the end of the video for that in case you missed it. All right. So here we go. This is the satellite picking up on where that Saharan dust is now. The first footprint is hanging tight right in the Caribbean and then hanging right off the coast of Florida. So this is going to move up in the western Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico this weekend, impacting parts of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, even parts of the southeast U.S. Again, this is not a terrible thing. It's not like it's this big Saharan dust plume like you're watching The Mummy or anything like that coming up out of the desert. It will help to either enhance the sunrise and sunsets if it's at the right concentration. If it's a little too thick, it's going to bring us some kind of dull skies over the next few days. And then look out to the east, though. We have a bigger Saharan dust plume coming through the Cabo Verde Islands. That is going to roll through the Caribbean as we move into the week ahead. First, I want to show you this first plume that's coming out of the western Caribbean, heading towards the Bahamas, Florida, and then into the North Gulf Coast. This is going to be Friday evening. We have a little bit of that getting to the Florida Straits, some low concentrations of dust already towards the North Gulf Coast. But watch what happens as we get into the second part of your weekend, Sunday into Monday. I want to pause this on Monday, and you see this bright white on your screen, specifically over Florida through Jacksonville, Orlando, Miami, lots of it in the central and eastern Gulf of Mexico, to a lesser degree for us towards San Antonio, Houston, New Orleans, but that dust is going to be there. Again, that's where it may be perfect, because you can't have it too thick or else it'll make dull sunrises and sunsets. If you get just enough of that particulate dust, if you will, 15 to 20,000 feet in the atmosphere, it can help to enhance that sunrise and sunsets. It bounces the light a little bit, helping to enhance that. Again, too thick, it's going to be a little dull. Once we get into Thursday, this is now July 13th, there comes that second plume kind of already rounding through, and you kind of see that pushing into the western Caribbean. And then we have a lot of it. There's Monday, July 17th, a lot of dust through Florida, even thicker stuff. So Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, I do think you're getting a little bit of that dust that may help to enhance. You're looking for those brighter reds and oranges in your sunsets and sunrises. Once we get into next week, again, Monday, July 17th, that is when it is going to be really, really thick for the western Gulf of Mexico, western Gulf Coast, towards Mexico, into Texas specifically. And then you see off to the right of your screen there, that's that secondary push that is rolling off of Africa as we speak. Hey, before we go forward into the video, if you are finding this content helpful, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to stay updated on all things weather, specifically as we are heading into hurricane season or in hurricane season towards the peak, you got to hit subscribe. Please do that, and you'll be alerted to any time we post new content if you hit that little alert bell. Here's our tropical wave. Again, it is not expected to materialize into a depression or into a storm. It certainly looked healthier this morning if you've been seeing any satellite images posted across the internet early on July 7th, but we are getting some rain out of the deal in Barbados. Here are the Leeward and Windward Islands, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. We will see some rain from this. Now, this is a good thing. It has been really hot. It has been really, really dry in this part of the Caribbean, so this little wave is going to help. I'll point out where this is on the model forecast, and you see that little kink again. I always point this out if you're familiar with this channel here, this little upside down U, how the arrows come in. That's the wind field. It goes up like a little mountain and then comes back down. That is why we call it a wave. It's not a closed circulation. It is an open wave, little trough of low pressure there. And notice how these colors go towards Puerto Rico. So again, that is going to be a good thing for us in Puerto Rico. We've been sweating. It's been dry. So that rain is going to be beneficial. Maybe some gusty thunderstorms as a result of that as well. There might even be another even juicier, beefier wave coming through. Here's July 10th and 11th, and you see those brighter colors here representing where we have some spin in the atmosphere. That's what we're looking for, a couple thousand feet up. So the darker the colors here, the more intense that spin is, but still the same kind of deal. We're not looking at anything closed, the closed circulation. We still have that upside down. You go in like that with the wind, come up, and then there is your tropical wave moving through the leeward and windward islands again as we get towards the 10th and 11th. It does not look like it's going to materialize in anything like a depression or a named storm or anything like that, but it will bring, again, beneficial rain to some of the islands over the next few days. In terms of how much rain, again, it's not a ton. I don't think we're going to flood the place out or anything like that, so that is some good news, but we could pick up anywhere from 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 inch of rain in parts of Puerto Rico, maybe an inch or two in parts of the Leeward Islands, parts of the Virgin Islands as well. Barbados, we can pick up anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain, maybe a little bit more as well from both of those waves coming through. So we'll keep you updated on that as we move forward over the next 5 to 7 days with those two waves coming through. Again, kind of threading the needle between that big plume of dust heading to the U.S. this weekend and then that really, really big plume of dust that's over by the Cabo Verde Islands right now that will eventually kind of sneak into the Caribbean. Made a big update on this yesterday. In case you missed it, I'm going to post a link in the comment section in the description for this. But just briefly, Colorado State came up with their their July update going forward here, and they increased their forecast. Again, this is not to scare anybody. It's certainly not hype or anything like that. It's just their forecast. They update what the numbers are, what they think they're going to be going forward into the hurricane season. Now, I say this all the time, mentioned this in the other video. It doesn't matter if they forecast 100 storms, if they all stay out to sea, it doesn't matter. If they forecast one, but if it hits you, then it's a bad season. So the numbers really don't matter. It's just interesting, and I'm going to talk about why, and I broke it down more so in that last video. We have a crazy strong El Nino coming on, and typically you wouldn't see a forecast this aggressive for the rest of the season when you have a strong El Nino developing. The issue is the Atlantic is record hot in places. So if there is a lull in the wind shear for any short period of time, and we do have one of these tropical waves rolling off of Africa, they're certainly going to be able to take advantage of that. So you see a pretty significant uptick in those numbers from the initial forecast preseason in April when Colorado State came out with their numbers. 13, it jumped to 15 in June for their second update, and now up to 18. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Typically, the Atlantic Basin starts to feel the impact of the wind shear brought on by that El Nino once we get deeper in July. We will see what happens. It's going to be interesting to kind of watch this play out. But again, just note there that they have increased their forecast. They will update this forecast again in early August. NOAA, also from the National Hurricane Center, will also update their official forecast later on in August too, right before we get into the peak of hurricane season. Hey, thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Again, if you found this content helpful, give it a thumbs up. It really does help us out a lot. Hit that subscribe button, and we will catch you next time.